Welcome back to ChatGPT Dad and Me. I'm Dad.
And I'm Yoni. And today we're going to talk about one of the biggest things people get wrong when using ChatGPT and how to fix it.
Yeah, this is a big one, Yon, because what happens is people use AI for the first time, generative AI, and you ask this generic question, and guess what? You get a generic answer. And then people go, like, this is what everybody's talking about?
Right. But here's the thing, ChatGPT isn't magic. It requires context. The more details you give it, the better answer you're going to get.
And when we say context, we mean the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, the how, right? All that information has to be given to ChatGPT.
Yeah. Like, for example, if you're going to your mentor to ask them about what school to go to, you can just say, like, hey, can you help me find a school? They're not going to be able to answer you. You need to give them information about, like, yourself and your preferences and the things you want to learn and what you would want in a school and what you wouldn't want in a school. And what's funny about AI, though, is that while the mentor can't give you an answer if they don't have enough information, ChatGPT is trained to answer no matter what you prompt it with, so it will just answer your question, but with a very generic answer, and you're going to get frustrated very easily.
Exactly, right? So it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, but it will only work with what you give it. And one thing I want to point out here is we're not talking about simple requests like, what's the weather like in Philadelphia today, right? That's fine. You can ask those sort of straightforward questions. We're saying when it's something, it's reasoning, or you want it to give you insight into something, that's when you have to provide context. One of the best things to do, we found, is just let's give a concrete example. So this is one that's near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about my low-carb lifestyle.
Let's go, baby.
Woohoo!
How many years? 10 years.
10 years, right? So I've been low-carb for about 10 years now. I'm obsessed with the numbers, so blood work gets done, and in the old days, I would just track things. Now I'll actually upload it to ChatGPT and then get some analysis done. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh my goodness, you upload your medical records to ChatGPT. I hear the problem. If you want to DM me, I have my own opinion about what I worry about and what I don't worry about. But obviously, if I'm telling you this example, it's because I don't worry about putting this information up by giving it to ChatGPT. If you're not a low carber or ketogenic person, maybe what I'm about to say won't make any sense. But what happens is when you go on low carb, you get fat adapted. Your body gets used to burning fat. And guess what? All the particle counts related to fat, which is what you're measuring with your cholesterol measurements, they go up. Okay? So in a generic sense, if I just gave it those numbers and I didn't tell it that I'm low carb and all the other things that I do, it's going to come back and say, you're going to have a heart attack. Okay.
Based on current medical practice.
Exactly. Based on current medical practice. Okay. So now I'm going to go heads down. I'm actually going to read off a sheet all the things that I told ChatGPT about my situation. I probably won't give you the numbers, but I'll read everything else, right? So here's what I told it. I follow a low carb, high fat, moderate protein diet. I've been metabolically healthy for 10 years. My triglyceride to HDL ratio is 0.97. My LDL is X, my LDLP is Y, my small LDLP is whatever, and like 24 things, right? Then what it came back to me with was, wow, you're really metabolically healthy. Here's all the things that I've seen. And then it actually pointed out a couple things. It said, according to standard measures, you would be at risk, but because of all these counterbalancing factors, you're actually very metabolically healthy.
Question, if you hadn't told it you were low carb, you just gave it the numbers, what would have been the result?
Yeah, it would have said, and it did. I mean, when I first did it,
right.
It just tells you, oh, you're really unhealthy. And you better...
even with all of these. It's a combo, right? I mean, it's a combo of saying I'm low carb and all these things that low carb cares about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I compare the output I got from giving all that information to just a generic interpret my labs, they're night and day. And so if your judgment of AI is based on the generic response, you're going to be like, this is not very helpful. But boy, oh boy, the answer you get back, or the actually insight that you get back when you give it a lot of information, is really game changing.
And don't be all worried like, oh, I have to treat this like a paper. I have to give to a super organized paragraph. It's like, no, it's really smart. It just needs the details, but it can get in any form. So you can upload pictures. You can talk to it. It has like this transcription, and you can just talk for a minute and a half. The idea is that you're giving it all the details. Now, you do want to break it up bit by bit because ChatGPT works better that way, where you give it a piece of information, it digests it, and another piece of information, but just keep it going. Here's a piece of information about me. Here's another piece of information about me.
So if your experience with AI so far has been very like, this is not impressive, or even this thing is broken, right? It doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. Usually it's because you're not giving it the amount of context that it needs to give you really good answers. And as you get better at giving it the context you need to give you answers, you'll be really impressed with the results.
Yep. That's it for today on the ChatGPT Dynamite podcast. Thank you for listening. Looking forward to the next one.
Thanks, everybody. See you soon.